Greetings, I'm Skol, and this is the Vosteed Porcupine TiSlim. Ti for titanium and slim because it's slim. And this is a very good knife. In fact, it's a contender for Knife of the Year. And I've been excited to get to this one, but I did have a delay. I decided to get another one. So I decided to wait until it arrived, and then you'll get a 2-for-1 deal. So I've got two versions. I got this one first because I was interested in, actually I had a different knife and I saw this color pattern and I thought I'd make a reverse tux set for a carry. So here's a Jack Wolf DLC coated titanium, and it looks pretty nice paired with this black wash and titanium TiSlim. So I initially got that, but then when I got it in hand and found out how good it was, I decided I wanted to get another one. So I also have the satin blade version and with the colored backspacer, a little bit of green color. So let's jump right into the details. First we'll just do a pass. So here's the black wash version, Vosteed, and then you got some milled titanium. So the titanium scales are also the liners. Then you have a backspacer, a clip, which does not reverse the other side. And then this is a top liner lock, so button actuated. When you push in the button, it will push the liner over. And it's interesting that they were able to do that in such a thin knife. Here's your nice backstop, stop pin. Then you got a little bit of gold color, and then there's actually a black collar on the thumb stud. And all the actuations work good. Here's your thumb stud, normal. And then we'll do the Spidey flick, give it a little bit of oomph. And then you got your top liner lock. You can swing it in and out like that if you want to. So good action and good milling. This looks really nice. And let's look at the other side of the blade. 154 cm. You got a finger choil, but you also have full 4-finger grip in the regular position. And then this does feel thin in the hand. You can get your hand all the way around it and it's comfortable. It locks right in, but you do feel how thin it is. You have some jimping and some forward jimping. And if I was to say one thing about this, I usually prefer, this is a 3-inch blade, I prefer to have a thicker stock usually. So let's check the stock thickness since I'm talking about that. It was listed at 0.087. So we'll see what my device says. And I'm getting that exactly, 0.087. So normally on a 3-inch blade, I'd be satisfied with 0.10. So this is a little bit thinner, but since the entire premise of the slim knife is to be slim, I'm okay with it because that's the premise of the knife. I do have a example here. Here's a very thin knife. It's not like this is new, completely new technology to have a thin knife. In fact, this is called a Black Cat Mercator. This was actually invented way back in the American Civil War times. So that's a long time ago. To have a backlock and thin, and it's even an integral. So this is one piece of sheet metal steel that's been stamped and folded around. So these were mass produced in Germany. And then the history behind these, they were so popular in Germany that a lot of the soldiers had them in World War I and World War II. And so typically on a battlefield, when you have dead soldiers, they'll check the pockets for stuff. So these became popular GI souvenirs to bring back to America, and then they became popular in America. Even after the war, these became popular. So K55, K Black Cat by Mercator, still made today, still relevant today because it's a backlock and it's so thin. So I've had carried this one a lot. So I don't mind a thin knife because sometimes you have use for a thin knife. I'll drop this one into pants, especially if I don't have a belt for support. So it's a little bit thinner, like if I'm wearing elastic. Anyway, I don't mind a slim knife for certain circumstances. And these are pretty classy looking. So maybe like dress pants. This would be pretty thin in the pocket. And we'll check out the other version. So we had a black backspacer and a black blade on this version, reverse tux. And then this one just has the splash of green color, and it also has a green collar on the thumb stud, but everything dimensionally wise is the same. So here's your thumb stud, and your spidey flick from underneath, and your action. You can just swing it open, and top liner lock. So these are 154 cm, but they are making some other blade steels. I did want to talk about that though. So they're going with S90V, but I wish the companies would think it through. So one thing about having a thinner stock, because the whole thing about this is it's thin, TiSlim. I think when your stock is thinner, your blade is thinner, I think it would be of benefit to have a higher toughness in your steel. So for a budget version, 14C28N is very tough, very high rating and toughness. And then if you want to go to up to a premium blade, I think MagnaCut would be appropriate, which also has a very high toughness rating. So that would help keep it from breaking since it's thinner. So I think those would be better choices for steel. So that's my recommendation, not just for this knife, but for any knife that's thinner. I know Benchmade has their popular bug out knife, and they've recently been putting a lot of bug outs in MagnaCut, and they are actually making a very good choice, because if their blade is thinner, and I believe that one is 0.09 inches, going with a high toughness steel on a thinner blade is a good idea, I believe. So there is a place for S90V that's a high-end steel if you want the high edge retention, but I think you're better off starting with a little bit thicker stock when you go with the S90V. So budget blade, and it's actually a notch above budget, but 14C28N has been appearing on lots of budget knives up to the $75 range. You can easily do 14C28N in that budget range, and then for your premium steel, go with MagnaCut for a thin blade. And is it too thin? Well, 0.087 for me, it's not meeting my normal preferences, but I'm willing to go along with it because it's meant to be thin, and they achieve that with good engineering. So like the bug out is thin, and this is approximately the same thickness as a bug out. I don't have a bug out myself. I have a bunch of other Benchmades. But anyway, I think the engineering's good stop pin, good backspacer. I like the backspacer design. You've got good sturdy construction, very good engineering. They pulled it off really well to make it function so well, feel so well, and all around. I don't have any other critiques other than saying they could choose a better steel since it's a thinner blade. And I'm willing to go along with the thinner stock because it's meant to be thin. And they did pull that off nicely. You can just see how thin it is. Let's actually compare it to another knife. So here's another Vosteed. This one's the Raccoon version 1. So everyone knows the Raccoon's their most popular model. And then the Raccoon is kind of like their paramilitary 2. And then the Porcupine's kind of like Vosteed's version of a paramilitary 3. So 3-inch blade, and let's actually get the measurements. And then a bigger blade on the Raccoon. So from tip, actually it's long. Is that longer? Well, it would be up to there. So yeah, that looks like 3 inches. And then your cutting edge is up here, 2 3/4 inches. And then your overall length is 7, and it's more than a quarter. Let's go 7 3/8 inches. And let's do the handle. That would be including the choil, but from actual handle size, 4 inches even. And then your normal grip, you can choke up into the choil, but your normal grip where you'd put your fingers back here, you get a little bit over 3 1/4, which is good. For 3 1/4 is about minimum. My size gloves are large size gloves, so I know 3 1/4 is where I want it to be to get all 4 fingers on. But then you also have the choke up choil option here too. So here's a Raccoon, and we're also wanted to compare thickness. So here's a normal popular EDC knife, and you can see you're getting a lot thinner on the new Porcupine. There is a slim version of the Raccoon. I think I prefer, for a couple of reasons, the Porcupine is better. So for one, it's the top liner lock, which I prefer, and the TiSlim of the Raccoon was a crossbar lock, and I would definitely rather have the top button actuated top liner lock. So that is better for the Porcupine. And also because it's thinner, I do prefer to have a shorter blade down to 3 inches. Because the blade is thinner, I'd rather have it be shorter blade. So I prefer the Porcupine, but for normal EDC size, I have a couple of the Raccoon version 2, and you can watch my video on that. It's pretty good. I go pretty in-depth finding all the changes from version 1 to version 2. That's a really good video. But here, this is a contender for Knife of the Year with great engineering. Pulled off the slim very well. Everything's nice about it. It's titanium, and the price is about $139 is what they've been going for. I've heard they're going to bring out more in different steels, but I'm not sure they're following my steel or didn't know about my steel recommendations yet. So I think this one will last for a while. I think this is worthy of will be a popular seller for quite a while. So I would recommend change the blade steel. Budget, go with 14C28N, and premium, go with MagnaCut. And so there's your Porcupine, Vosteed Porcupine TiSlim. Looks very premium and is very premium with titanium, and so nicely constructed with the milling. Definitely good value for the price range. So go get you one. I'm actually calling this, I'm going to use the word masterpiece. And to wrap up with my final recommendations, although I do need to do the weight, I'm going to call this a masterpiece must-have. I think everyone should get one of these. And they did come in at under 3 ounces. And I'm going to give that a tear just to make sure. tear. And let's weigh the other one. It should be the same. That one is 3 even. So 3 ounces. Let's see if that changed. This one, for some reason, is reading a little bit lighter. It could be just a drop of oil could change your weight just a little bit. Vosteed TiSlim Porcupine, masterpiece, must have. That's what I'm saying. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed the video. Go check out my other videos. And health and happiness to you. Have a nice day. And remember, always carry a knife.